Hey everyone, so this is our mollusk dissection. Today we are going to be dissecting a cephalopod. The cephalopod that we are going to be dissecting today is a long fin inshore squid, which is actually a type of squid that can be found in Florida waters. Alright, so this specific specimen is not fresh. Right? It looks kind of like this, like yellowy, and if you could feel it, you'd feel that it's kind of rubbery. That's because it's been preserved in chemicals that allow us to keep it in a bucket for a long time without it spoiling and going bad. So it's not quite true to life, but it's pretty close. So we're going to review some of our characteristics of mollusks in general and see how the squid has them. And then we're also going to look at some characteristics that are specific for the squid, some anatomical features that only the squid or sometimes just the cephalopods have. And you'll be labeling a lot of those on your homework sheet, so you can follow along with those questions as you watch this video. All right, so first we're going to look at the external features of the squid. That means everything on the outside of its body. Right, we're going to start off with one of the big characteristics of mollusks in general. That is the presence of a mantle. Remember that a mantle is a membrane coating holding all of the internal organs. The top part of the squid right here is the mantle. All of the internal organs are located inside of this section. If the squid had an external shell, like a snail, then the mantle would be what secretes that external shell. The head of the squid is towards the bottom, and then he has arms and tentacles coming off of the head. All right, so this squid can move around in three different ways. First, he has fins that he can turn directionally to steer through the water, and he can also sort of undulate them back and forth to swim slowly. Here we see some squids using their fins to swim. Second, he has tentacles and arms. Remember that all mollusks have a muscular foot. We saw the image of the clam using its foot to bury itself down in the sand. The muscular foot of the squid has been modified into its arms and tentacles, and we'll look at those more in just a second. And finally, the squid also has a unique organ called a siphon. This is the siphon right here. It's sort of like a little straw. I'm going to stick my probe through it so you can see that it has an opening on the inside of the squid and then an opening on the outside. What the squid does is it will suck water up into its mantle and then rapidly shoot it out of its siphon so that it can fly away very quickly. This is a method of movement known as jet propulsion. It's sort of like a jet ski, a similar way that a jet ski moves, or a similar way that like a jet pack would fly. Here we have a squid. It's being chased by a fish that wants to eat it. You can see it using jet propulsion to get away. Let's watch it again. Confused fish. Right, also, all over the outside of the squid's mantle, you can see this sort of coating. Some of it's coming off right now. These are the chromatophores. If you look very closely, you can see lots of individual little dots. The chromatophores change size and in some cases change shape. These allow the squid to change colors so that it can blend into different habitats better. It's a way for it to camouflage and a way to protect itself. Here's a video of some squid chromatophores up close. See them changing size and shape and color to some extent. And here's a video of a squid cousin, the cuttlefish, who's the master of camouflage, using his chromatophores to confuse prey that he wants to eat, in this case, a crab. All right, we're going to look at how the squid eats now. If we look at the tentacles and arms, if we count them, we should count 8 shorter arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we should count 2 longer tentacles. Now notice that the squid has suction cups on his arms to grasp things, and he has them on the ends of his tentacles. That's because the squid uses his tentacles to reach out and grab food. He shoots him out to grab his prey, and then he pulls his prey back in towards his tentacles, which grab it, rip it apart, and then feed it to the mouth. I'm going to go ahead and cut off the arms and tentacles so we can get a better view of the mouth inside. All right, if we peel all these back, the mouth is located at the center of all arms and tentacles. If we squeeze it, we should be able to see its parts. All right, I'm pulling its mouth out now. Okay. So we see three parts to the squid's mouth area. First, I'm going to have to slice this open. This ball that I'm cutting into is called the buccal mass. It's a muscle which is basically like the jaw muscle of the squid, allowing it to chomp, chomp, chomp. Inside of the buccal mass are two pieces of the squid's beak. The squid does not have teeth. Instead, it has a beak similar to a bird's beak. It's very, very sharp. If you've ever been bit by a squid, I have. It hurts. As you can see, it looks just like a little parrot beak. There's two sides to it. And then the string that came out attached to the buccal mass is the squid's esophagus. It's its throat. The food would travel through the beak, through the buccal mass, down through the esophagus, and into the digestive organs. All right, the last thing we're going to look at on the outside of our squid is the squid's eyes. So the squid's eyes here have sort of been clouded due to the preservative chemical, but squid eyes are very, very large in comparison to their body size. They have some of the largest eyes in the entire animal kingdom. That's because squids often live in dark places, like deep down in the ocean, where they need large eyes to be able to see and gather as much light as possible. So I'm cutting open the squid's eye. I'm going to try to get the lens out. The lens is the part of the eye that takes all the light coming in and it focuses it into a clear picture. So all the light comes in from different angles, it hits the lens and it focuses it into a clear picture. In your eye, the lens is shaped like a contact lens, like a little shallow bowl. That's what works well on land. A squid's lens is marble shaped. It's shaped like a little ball. That's because underwater, light acts in different ways than it does on land. The water bends the light, and so its lens must be spherical shaped so that the light can bend back and it can have a clear picture. Now in life, this would have been much clearer. Now it's sort of like an opaque little marble. Here we see a giant squid eyeball. They can grow to be the size of a soccer ball. All right, that's all for the outside of the squid. Now we're going to go inside the squid. So I'm going to turn it so its siphon is facing up. I'm going to take my scissors, insert them at the bottom of the mantle, and cut all the way up towards the top. All right, I'm going to go ahead and use some pins to keep the squid open so that we can see all of its internal organ features. All right, so to tell if the squid is male or female, we look up here at the top of the squid. And we look for like a whitish sort of gland, tells us that the squid is male, whereas a yellowish sort of goo tells us that the squid is female. Its gonads are located at the top of the squid, the organs that produce the sex cells. All right, also inside of the squid are its gills. Remember that the squid Mollusks are the first animals to have respiratory systems, ways that they can exchange gas, like oxygen and carbon dioxide, that they use for respiration, with the environment. Other organisms, simpler organisms, simply use diffusion. They just diffuse the gases straight out of their body cells. But here is one of our gills. And then on the other side is our second gill. They are layered. There's lots of little lines in them to increase the surface area, so there's lots and lots of area for gas exchange to occur. Now the squid does have 3 hearts. There's a systemic heart that is located right in the center of the squid. And then there are 2 brachial hearts, which are located at the base of each gill. They're fairly difficult to find and to see, so I'm not going to go hunting for them because they're very tiny. But they are there. The squid has a closed circulatory system. Remember, that means that they're actually vessels which take blood to all the different organs. All right, right here we actually see something kind of cool. I just isolated 2 muscles. These are called the retractor muscles. And by contracting them, the squid can turn its head from side to side. As it's using jet propulsion, it can contract the different retractor muscles to aim its siphon and jet in different directions. All right, the last 2 things we're going to look at are the pen and the ink sac. The pen is located on the back side of the squid here. Oh, and mine broke into 2 pieces. But it doesn't really feel like the rest of the squid. If you could feel this part of the squid, he feels very squishy. This part is very hard. See, it broke, like it's brittle. It is actually the shell of the squid. Remember that most mollusks have shells. The shell of this squid is not external, it's internal. It modified its shell to go on the inside of its body, and it uses it sort of like an endoskeleton for support. Right, finally, right here in the center of the squid is its ink sac. If I squeeze the ink sac, whoop, lots and lots of ink should come out. All right, this one had a lot of ink. So the squid uses its ink, it squirts the ink out of the siphon when it's in trouble. Sort of like a big cloud of smoke, like if a magician wanted to get away and so they threw down a smoke bomb and then they ran away. Similar sort of deal. You can actually take some of the ink with the pen and write or draw with it. Here we see a crazy person on a deep sea dive holding a Humboldt squid. The Humboldt squid is inking a lot. It doesn't like being held. All right, that's all I've got for our squid dissection. Make sure that you're answering the questions that go along with this and that you label the different parts of the squid anatomy. Thank you.